to start things off, we're gonna jump right into the All-Star weekend. Chase, initial reactions. I know you actually tuned in. I was surprised when you texted me. You tuned into quite a bit of All-Star
Yeah.
weekend.
Well, I would say the one thing that they did do well is um if it was going to be the same format for the All-Star game, my level of interest for it would have been essentially nil, right? Because the old All-Star game was essentially like, hey, watch the last, 45 seconds of the game and that's all you need to watch. But these were the I was interested with the whole, USA versus like the young Americans and then the old Americans.
Yeah,
What was it, Stripes and Stars or something?
Stripes, Stars, and then World.
Yeah, World. And yeah, so I was intrigued just from the marketing standpoint to watch it, and it was yeah, it wasn't too bad to watch. I mean, some of the stuff was bad to watch, but the main event is what needs to be the most important and the best thing. And it was an improvement from years past.
Yeah, I would agree. Now I obviously spent All-Star weekend. Let's see. Friday, watched it at home. Saturday. All right, I gotta get my days together. Being in the hospital kind of screwed my timetable up here. Let's
It's
see.
hard to know.
Friday, watched it at home. Saturday, I watched 3-point contest, skills challenge, or the shooting stars challenge, and then the dunk contest. And then Sunday, yeah, there we go. Sunday, All-Star game. I was in the hospital. Um, so I was able to catch pretty much all of it, luckily. Um, but yeah, I was really surprised by the turnout of almost every event because um now hindsight looking back, like there's definitely some things that could have been better. But initial reaction watching the weekend, I was very entertained, especially after coming off watching the Pro Bowl. Super boring. Um, I know you're a big MLB All-Star weekend fan. I'm not. I think the home
The
run derby is
game,
okay.
yeah, the game itself, I don't care for too much um, in MLB, but the one thing is the winner, if it's, you know, if it's the AL or the NL, it gets you an extra home game for the World Series. So that's why it's big time. Um, so that's what's important about that one. But the home run derby is what I watch for the All Star. It's the best event there
Yeah,
is
and
for
that's really the
across
only
all
event I
boards.
watch too.
Yeah.
We obviously we're not huge baseball guys, so we won't get into it. But um, I will say something that I would love for, because basketball is the same way, 7-game series. I would love if they were able to figure out a way to do that. Right, whoever wins gets an extra home game. Um, I think that makes it a lot more competitive. There's more of a drive when you're doing the East versus West. Um, Now, initial reaction to the All-Star game, I didn't love the format at first. The idea of like I like the classic 2 teams battle it out. But the issue is we haven't seen a fire game since 2020 when they did the Kobe, there's last quarter they had to get to 24 points and they really locked down, got some stops, blocks, right? Good shots, those kind of things. It looked like actual basketball. Since then it's been mush, right? And they've gotten a lot of criticism for it. I would say um I did like it, but if they did something like what the MLB does, I'd rather they go back to that East versus West format. Now I got a question for you. We're pretty into it, right? The whole USA versus World is intriguing. What do you think made the game better? Do you think it was better having 1 quarter games, 12-minute games, where it's like, all right, you just have to put on a short stint of your energy, and that kind of makes teams fight. It's a lot more to the nail in a closer game, or do you think it was that World versus USA matchup?
I think the shortened thing helped because if you would have done USA versus World and had it be long games, I think it would have looked pretty similar to the old. Like, just the teams are different, right? And maybe it's a little bit more, but I think the big thing was played in those shorter games because you kind of just have to lock in quicker just playing a quarter. But I will say I do think like for some of them they play with a little bit more passion. Like shout out Wembanyama. I know obviously it didn't go how he wanted it to go, but like man was playing. Right.
Yeah.
He was probably trying the hardest out there. Just but yeah, I think the biggest thing was the shortened one because it just made it seem, it's like I was saying, like those last couple minutes of the old All Star games, like they would play some defense, right, and it would look a little bit closer to real basketball. This
Mhm.
just made it so like the most majority of the quarter looked like real basketball. I would
Yeah.
just say the only issue I had with it is the old, the what's it, the stripes?
They lost
No, the
their
stars.
they lost
They,
their
they,
juice in that
they
last
had
game.
no juice by the last one.
Yeah.
So I don't think having them play three is maybe um the best idea because it was entertaining. All of the three games leading up to it were entertaining.
Mhm.
And then it was like the All-Star Championship. And you're like, that blew. That sucked real
And then
bad.
World wasn't even in it too. Like that
Yeah,
was the other
and so it
thing.
was old USA versus young USA, and I think the world was like the favorite coming into it, but obviously you didn't have Jokic or Luca or Giannis,
Yeah,
so
Giannis getting
and no Shea,
hurt
right? Shea
hurt.
didn't play
Yeah,
either.
Shea was hurt. So those
Yeah,
2
so if you're
hurt a lot.
you've
And
like
then Jokic and
almost your
Luka just don't care, you know?
yeah, no, and I don't blame them for. I mean, I guess not caring because it's not like they get anything for doing it. But yeah, I mean, it would be nice if they did. I was going to ask you, is there any way that in this format, right, you don't need to have like a deep roster at all, but could you do 4 teams?
Um,
So then instead of you have to play 3 quarters, right, you play semifinal, you play a semifinal matchup and then a final matchup. That's it. I don't know if logistically that could happen, but because I did think that that third game was a little bit weird because like it was like, oh, they have to win by more than 3.
Yeah,
I
I
don't
actually
know.
wanted to get into that. I
So
I
I
don't hate
was
the idea of 4 teams.
yeah, I just think in that format you don't need to have like benches. I mean, as long as
Yeah,
everybody's
you have like
playing.
two reserves
Yeah,
basically.
so you have a team of 5. You have a team of I mean, you could have 6 or 7 dudes like right on each
Mhm.
team. 6 dudes on each team, and you play 5 of them. I
So
don't know.
my only gripe against 4 teams is you wouldn't like I do like that every team face each other, but to your point, that last game um was brutal because they were tired. Now, the other thing you could say is,
And
well,
World
maybe you
wasn't in it.
and maybe you could say, right, you mix up um the old and the young players. I think it was cool having the young players on the team and the old players on the team because, like, you could tell the young players wanted it, right? Like, they were fighting with pride. Ant was out there giving it his all. Book had the biggest plus minus in the All Star game. You had Tyrese Maxey balling out in that last game. You had Jalen Duren holding it down on the defensive end. Like, those guys were really trying, right? Cade Cunningham was phenomenal. Um, and they were the laughing stock, right? Twitter was blowing up about how this is the worst all-star team ever put together, and then they go out and win. So I think a big thing is Twitter's not used to this new era of basketball. And I kind of just went on a tangent on just totally separate what you asked, but I don't know. I don't necessarily like the format was good. I just think the way there was a couple issues I had with the rules. Like the rules weren't clear, and that was my biggest issue. So before the All Star game, you had a couple people get hurt: Shea, Giannis, Steph Curry, right? And it was these random players replacing them, but like the teams were already set, so it was like, okay, Brandon Ingram is replacing Giannis, or no, he replaced Shea. And then it was like De'Aaron Fox is replacing Giannis, and it's like, well, that doesn't make sense because Brandon Ingram. Well, first, the All-Star selection was East-West, right? So then it's like, why is Brandon Ingram in the West replacing Shea in the Brandon Ingram in the East replacing Shea in the West? Why is De'Aaron Fox in the West replacing Giannis in the East? And then why is De'Aaron Fox on the world team? Why is Ingram on the world team, right? But they weren't. But that wasn't clarified until the game. And then the other issue I had, and you kind of brought it up, was when we got into that third game, we had no idea who was gonna move on based on what, right? Like we had to do all this math and go figure it out
Yeah,
ourselves.
the point differential and whatnot. And it's like, it
Yeah.
just kind of sucks point differential. Like, it should be winner gets in, loser doesn't. Like, that's how, I mean, I don't know. I guess they have that awkward 3, right? I
Mhm.
don't know. But it was an improvement. And it would be nice, obviously, if we have more of the stars playing.
Mhm.
You know, like, I mean, you look at like all of the MVP winners are not playing, you know, like recent ones,
Yeah,
which is
I
a little bit
wish,
frustrating. But
and the injury stuff you can't
yeah, you can't
control.
avoid it.
Shea, Steph.
Yeah.
I really wish Jokic and Luka would just like try. Like that's the thing that pisses me off is it's like you have the best in the world and they just don't care, right? Even in the All-Star game interviews, like they're just kind of like whatever, you know. And it's like you said, they're not playing for something. So,
Yeah. Why? You know,
Adam
I
Silver
mean,
figure out what they
and
can play
I
for.
think something like obviously what they do is extremely enjoyable and they make so much money doing it. But like at the end of the day, it's a job, you
Mhm.
know? And so it's like anybody like, well, why don't you want to do your job, like do extra for your job, you know? And I think unfortunately that's how they view it.
I think a big
So,
issue is these athletes just get paid way too much now.
oh, for
We
sure.
see it in college now too. Players sitting out. We'll get into that in a little bit.
Oh,
Players just not playing right because they make too much money and now they want to preserve themselves. They
oh,
don't have anything to play for. Like you look back in 2011, right, or even all the way back in the 90s. You literally had Michael Jordan, Clyde Drexler, Vince Carter, like all these stud athletes performing in the dunk contest, and now they just don't care to try. Now, another reason for that is like the media is just so negative that it's like, why would I do it? Right? There's no benefit in it. And then the money's just, they don't need it. They get paid too much now, right? They can just chill.
for real.
They just want to chill in All-Star. They want to
Yeah.
chill all season long. So the money's the issue, or not the issue, but a big issue.
What if, no, go ahead.
No, ask your question and then I'm gonna move us on.
Yeah, I was just curious if they end up like changing, like reworking the whole All Star thing, and like maybe you name All Stars so that way you know for the Hall of Fame and the history books there's All Stars, but if you just like take this as like a break, like almost a bye week for the NBA,
Mhm.
and you just have like a USA versus World tourney, you know, I don't know, like, yeah, I guess I don't. I mean, I guess I don't know what I'm even trying to get after, but yeah, I don't. I think it can be better. I think it was a good idea. But like, and I know we're about to get into this stuff, but like the dunk contest, just I mean, is a waste of space.
Mhm.
I mean,
Yeah, no, I agree. And
that was an embarrassment. Like,
that was the biggest hits All-Star weekend, and we will definitely get into dunk contest in a second. But yeah, I think as far as the format goes, I mean, overall the format was fire. Like this was the best All-Star weekend we've had since 2020, and it was the most views since I believe 2011. So, Adam Silver obviously did his thing in this, and he's been under a lot of pressure. So you got to give him kudos for that. But yeah, let's move on to grading every All-Star event, and I'll let you start us off with the celebrity game.
So I actually watched the celebrity game. I don't know why I watched it, but I did. I would give the celebrity game probably C.
Mm-hmm.
I think the reason I'm giving it a C is because it felt like it was like, yeah, there's like, I feel like what they consider a celebrity now has gone like extremely downhill.
Yeah, for
You
sure.
know, like I feel like it used to be like you get some A-listers, right? You used to get like Justin Bieber and Kevin Hart out there. And now I'm like, who are these people? And then it's like, let's just put former NBA players. You got, Jeremy Lin out there. You got Taco Fall. I'm like, and they're on the same team. I'm like, how is that even like, that doesn't seem fair. But I don't know. Yeah, I just think the issue is what they consider a celebrity has gone downhill. So that kind of obviously, but it's fun. Like it's like a little bit of an entertaining to watch, like especially with like the coaches giving banter back and forth. But the reason it's not higher is because like when I watch a celebrity game, I want to see celebrities. I don't want to see like TikTokers and like people that I've never ever seen before.
Yeah, it's just transition into influencers. So with that being said, I gave it a C+. I thought overall the games were entertaining, right?
Yeah.
This little I liked what they did with like they brought in this bonus thing, right? Every quarter or whatever, where you had something fun.
Yeah.
I thought it was kind of fun having the coaches. Like I thought Giannis and that
Yeah.
what was his name? Anthony something. That guy's a great character. He's a good comedian. Giannis is pretty funny guy. But yeah, it's like you said, right? It's retired NBA players, it's football players, and it's influencers. That's the issue. Um,
And the football players aren't that great. Who was it? Was it
no,
Keenan Allen and Amon Ra? I mean, I guess Amon
yeah.
Ra is not that bad, but it's like,
Well, I
you
don't
know,
know.
if it's
Amon Ra
football
smoked
players,
a
like,
couple layups.
uh, yeah, I mean, if it's football players, I want it to be like, you know, I mean, those guys are really good, but they're like receivers. You know, like I
Yeah,
want it to be like we have, you know, Tom Brady, retired Tom Brady playing in it, you know,
yeah,
or
like A-list
like A
celebrities.
list. So get the star quarterbacks out there, like get Josh Allen out, but they just won't, right? But
Yeah,
you
which
know,
I think
so
2 years ago they had like C.J. Stroud and Micah Parsons, and
yeah,
a
I
couple
mean,
years ago they had like J. Cole, and it's like, all right, that's fire,
yeah,
right? But
or
like,
they are the Kevin Hart and the Justin Biebers, like
mhm,
those are A-listers, right? Like those are on your screen, everybody knows them. I'm not like I was looking out there and I'm like, dude, who are these people?
yeah.
You
I
know,
mean, I
like
guess you
especially
had
when you know you have to have
Glorilla.
Taylor
She's
Frankie
hot right
Paul
now.
out there,
Yeah,
huh?
yeah, getting bullied too. You had Glorilla. She's kind of bumping right now. I don't listen to her personally, but
Yeah, I don't
everyone
really
loves
know much.
Glorilla.
Yeah. I
Um,
mean, it's not like there was some that were like, yeah, those are fine to be there, but I felt like those ones are like those are the ones that I want to be like the lower end of celebrity that's
yeah,
status out there, right? I want to see Drake out there hooping and Kanye and
yeah, no,
Kim
exactly.
K and I
Kevin
don't know,
Hart. Yeah, I
Kevin
thought
Hart,
overall
Justin
it was an
Bieber, and
entertaining product. It
yeah,
wasn't the celebrities
just
we
needs
wanted.
celebrities. That's it.
And then Taco Fall was my biggest issue. Like, bro was in the league 2 years ago. And it's like, I get it. He's 7'7", but it's like,
Yeah, that's
and then
so.
also you're not going to give him MVP when he gets 20, 20, and 5. Like, you just kind of screwed yourself over in there.
He was for sure the most valuable player.
Like, easily, but they're not going to give it to a player that was in
No,
the league 2 years ago.
and yeah, and I just if it's retired NBA players, I actually don't mind that. It needs to be like they've been retired for 20 years.
Mhm.
You know, like
Now,
I
I
think it'd
did
be
have a little more excitement in it, something you don't care about. Matt Ishbia is the Suns owner, and
Mhm.
he was balling. So I was digging that. So that's why. But I
I
give it a
guess
C plus just because
yeah,
it was entertaining. Could have been better because we want
well, better
actual,
celebs.
yeah,
Yeah.
celebrities. But let's get into the Rising Stars game. Yeah, game. I give it an A minus. For the reason being, it was kind of similar to All Star Game, where it was a similar format. There were 3 teams, and they kind of did a little tournament, and I think there was 3 game winners in it. The Young Bucks were hooping, so I was loving it. I thought it was fun. There was a G League team that almost won. Um, so like even though they were supposed to be a weak team, they were good comp. So I thought it was overall entertaining, a good product to put out there. Most people don't tune into the Rising Stars game though. I imagine you probably didn't watch it as much.
Yeah, I watched some highlights because I knew we were gonna go talk about it, and I almost wish that I would have watched it because it actually did seem like it was relatively entertaining. It's a little bit different, right? When you're watching the highlights, it's harder to
Yeah.
give it like a true grade because like a lot of sports is like the hype, the moment, you know, and not watching sports just sped up.
Mhm.
But yeah, I mean, I think if I were to grade it, I grade it pretty similarly to you, because yeah, there was energy, there was excitement to it, and so obviously, like, it's not an event that a lot of people care about. So right, it's not like it's ever going to be like this amazing thing, but for what it is, like, it was pretty solid, and I'd probably give it a B plus, A minus.
Yeah. Um, and then the Shooting Stars challenge, I actually enjoyed this a lot more than like this. I've always thought the skills challenge was kind of dumb, and it's always been the
Mhm.
same teams. It's been the Giannis brothers, and then like the Knicks or whatever. Did you watch this one at all?
Yeah, so I saw a part of this one. I didn't watch the full thing, but I just think it's funny. Like every time I think of this, like the old skills challenge, I think it got ruined the second that what was it, Wembenyama and Chris Paul gamed the system.
Yeah,
You know that when they instead of shooting, they just
I
like
think that
flung
was
it.
2 years ago.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just ever since then, I was just like, this thing's dead. They killed
Yeah,
it.
no, that really
They were the
did.
ones that buried it. But yeah, I mean, it was entertaining. Um, it's like if I'm ranking like what's most important in the like this whole All Star weekend, it's like it should be like well, what it should be, but what I feel like is now is the All-Star game, the 3-point contest. It should be the dunk contest, which we'll probably get into, and then maybe the shooting stars and the rising stars. But yeah, I think for what it is, it's entertaining. It's worth tuning in, especially if you're a basketball fan.
Yeah. And obviously I'm a big basketball fan, so I really enjoyed it. I also made money on it because the Knicks won, and that's what I put money on, so that always helps. But no, I really enjoyed the teams too, because there was the Knicks, just a team, a bunch of shooters: Allen Houston, Jalen Brunson, Cat, right? Good squad. The only team I didn't really care about was the team All Stars, just because it was random. It was Chet Holmgren, Scotty Barnes, and Jalen Johnson.
Just
And
two
then
uggos.
just random All Stars. It wasn't really nothing. And then there was Team Harper, which I was actually, if the Knicks weren't going to win, I was really rooting for them because Dylan Harper, Ron Harper Jr., and then Ron Harper. Shout out the OG, and that was cool. They sucked really bad though. I'm trying to remember. Was there one more team? But I can't remember. I don't think so.
That was it.
The thing I enjoyed the most out of this though was the involvement of Drewski and then that Anthony dude.
Yeah.
And how important their role actually was, because you saw a couple bad passes and that was the entire thing, right? Less time to shoot, which you saw from Drewski. So, and the matchup between Team All Stars and Team Knicks was really close. Like, I think Team All Star came out and hit like 39 points, which was kind of crazy. And it was like, oh, Knicks might be cooked. And then they come out and score like 50 in the final round. Just couldn't miss. Hit a couple of those half-court or logo shots. So that was entertaining for me. I gave it a B. And then the 3-point contest, electric. I was heartbroken, obviously, because Devin Booker had 3 shots to tie, 2 shots to win. And smoked all 3 of them. Yeah. And Twitter's blowing up about how he is the prettiest jumper. The crazy thing about Devin Booker is when he had a point guard, shout out Chris Paul, he was shooting almost 40% from 3, averaging 28 a game. Now that in the last few years, he hasn't had a point guard and he's been below average 3-point shooter. I was surprised he was announced to be in the 3-point contest this year because he's literally shooting 30%, right? Which everyone's going to gripe about, right? Why does he have such a good jump shot, but he, shooting this bad from 3? How is he making the All-Star game? Well, you see in the 3-point contest that he is very capable of hitting a 3-point shot. But his shots he gets up in games are always heavily contested, right? He isn't able to get open looks because he has to create all his looks himself because we don't have a point guard. So that part of it is frustrating during the season, but it was a joy to watch. He actually had the most points total with 30 and 27, but because Dame had 27 and 29, but just could not outbeat.
Gives you some appreciation for the GOAT Steph Curry.
Yeah.
Which shots that dude has to throw up
for next year, by the way. You've probably seen it all over Twitter.
Yeah.
Steph, Dame, D-Book, Klay Thompson, a couple other shooters going to meet up in Phoenix. And so that's going to be dope. But yeah, shout out Damian Lillard. First player, I think, ever to not play a single minute during the entire season, during injury, come in and perform during an All-Star event. I loved what his comments were about it, about giving a performance, giving a show, showing that you love the game, right? That kind of thing.
For sure.
I mean, his jumper's just no matter what, right? He could be on one leg and it's pure. So I gave the 3-point contest an A.
I couldn't agree more. Which is hard to believe because next year's, has to be just an A+ out the gate no matter what happens.
Yeah, no, I'm lit for it. And maybe we get the boys go down to the All-Star event in Phoenix. Who knows?
Is that where it's going to be next year?
Yeah, it's going to be in Phoenix. I'm kind of hyped
we might have
about
to go.
it.
It's so expensive though. I remember when it was here in Salt Lake.
So, yeah, how much was it in Salt Lake?
Dude, I think the tickets were like $1,000. I think you could go get nosebleeds for like
in Salt Lake. It was
$600-700. Yeah, well, it was like
that's how much it was in LA.
Because Salt Lake doesn't get a lot of those events, so when they do, right? Salt Lake loves its sports and they love basketball. So yeah, I remember looking at it. I'm pretty sure like the Chiefs tickets were like a G.
So that's the factors you could put in. What you could put in for LA is this might be LeBron's last All-Star game, right? Um, so I'm
And it's
hoping,
LA.
Phoenix and also LA. The thing that was crazy is I don't know if you noticed, but there was nobody in the stands, right? You're in
Yeah,
LA.
I
The
was
All-Star
wondering.
game isn't
I
something
was
they care
gonna
about.
ask you about that. I never found out why that was.
I think it's just one. I mean, it's like you said, the tickets are just way up there. But then also, like when you're in LA, it's like there's so much other things to do.
But why wouldn't they drop the prices then?
Yeah, I mean that's a good question.
Because I saw that, and I'm like,
I think the issue is because the price gets you entry, right, for all 3 days. So I think it's hard to gauge, right? What if people are going to buy tickets just for the game, right? Or what if they're going to buy for this? I think it's hard to gauge when it's a 3-day event.
and especially when one of the events they do is literal trash.
Yeah, which gets us right into the dunk contest. Now I already know what your grade is. And this is going to be
you can't grade it. It's a fail. You don't even grade it.
It's going to be, for me, what's funny is actually hindsight, it was horrible. I went and rewatched all the dunks.
What do you mean? What are you going to say? In the moment, you thought it was good?
In the moment, I had fun. I didn't think it was a good dunk contest.
You have to be a diehard basketball fan to even find some enjoyment of that. I would rather watch
let me explain
curling, figure skating, grass grow.
Okay. So first of all, I made money on the dunk contest.
And watch myself in the reflection.
So first of all, I made money on the dunk contest. That always makes the experience better.
So now your opinion is completely ruined.
No. But this is just coming. The rest of what I'm going to say is coming, has nothing to do with the money. So watching the dunks, right? We had a rookie, Carter Bryant, who I didn't even know was bouncy. So some of the dunks he pulled off, I was like, okay, that's actually a nice dunk, right? Jace Richardson falling on his ass like that was hilarious to me. So that was entertaining.
That's actually true. It was so bad it was almost entertaining. Like you could laugh at
like
it.
4 times before that, dude. I texted my basketball homies group chat and I was like, these guys do practice their dunks before they do this. Did this guy practice his dunks and make this? Because this is horrible, which he did go on to post later on, him making it in practice. Poor guy's probably getting flamed. But, then he goes and does just a simple dunk that didn't matter. So that was funny to me, okay? The other thing that was funny to me, it was frustrating in the moment, but looking back, it's just hilarious, is Jackson Hayes. You go do a freaking East Bay dunk in-game against the Bulls, and then you come in and you do a one-handed tomahawk under the rim. Like, how do you open your dunk up with that? Now, his second dunk was cool. I really enjoyed his East Bay lob under the rim. Like I said, there's a couple. The thing that really carried it for me, though, is Johnson was very energetic. He was dancing, which you've probably seen the memes. He thought he could just dance after every dunk and it would get him the win, which it did. Shout out to him. His dunks weren't the craziest, but I just loved the energy he brought because it made it fun.
It was a TikTok dance competition is what it was.
I know you gave it an F. I gave the dunk contest.
No, I didn't. It's unscorable. It is not even worth putting a letter. It's not even worth putting like
the
pen
reason
to paper to draw an F.
It's not the worst we've had in the last 5 years.
It's so bad though. My opinion, if it's gonna, and especially if it's gonna be like this caliber of like people, like if it's not gonna be actual stars,
be Mac McClung level performance.
It needs to be. Go get all the YouTube dunkers and have them do a fun competition. That's more watchable. Like they're doing all these crazy dunks or whatever. I get they're not in the NBA, but the people we're watching, they're essentially not in the NBA. Trash.
Now,
God,
Mac McClung,
so bad.
I think
he posted what he would have done, and it was pretty cool. And I'm like, that would have been nice to watch.
Like, bro, why didn't you do it? That was so sick.
I know, but that's what we need. We need like, and up the mountain. You pay. I don't know, like. If I get the stars aren't ever going to do it. They make too much money, and obviously, if you
the thing that
fail,
pisses me off though is every year they tweet about maybe doing it, and then they never do.
Well, you just get clowned if you can't do an awesome dunk or you fail.
Yeah, like Jaylen Brown. Like shout out Jaylen Brown for doing it, but then he dunked over Kai Cenat, and it's like he gets flamed, and then you don't see a superstar since.
No, so I don't blame the superstars, but at this point, like just go find the YouTube guys and be like, hey, or like get like 2 or 3 YouTube guys to compete against like 2 dudes that at least like have like some sort of like name value that are in the NBA. You're like, yeah, that's a good player. Like if I know who he is for casuals. You can't turn on the TV and be like this all-star break with all these fun competitions. And some people that just kind of watch basketball to watch basketball occasionally turn it on. They're like, who are these people?
And then we talked about it a lot. The All-Star game. For me, it was an A minus. I wish the last game would have been close and competitive, and I wish it was World instead of both USA teams. Although I did, young versus old is in theory good if old didn't lose their legs. But another thing that made the All-Star game super good is shout out Kawhi Leonard, 31 points in 12 minutes in that second game that carried them to the comeback win. So didn't mention that earlier. I thought it was fire. I have it for an A minus. What'd you give it?
So it would have been higher. I ended up giving it a B minus just because it's like a good movie with a bad ending, right? You're walking out of there not feeling too great. So started awesome, like unbelievable. Those first 3 games, like perfect. And then
Yeah.
you're like, the championship literally couldn't have been worse. Like
So
it
that
couldn't have-
one game brought it all the way down to a B
well,
minus.
it's the ending, right? So like this
Yeah.
playoffs for NFL, historic, straight movies, right? The Super Bowl was kind of blah, and this won't go
That's all
down
I
as one of those
remember.
postseasons of all time. But I'm like,
That's true. No, that's
this
a good
was probably the best postseason. But the big finale, if the big finale is not there, you're just not gonna like walk away thinking it's the best. It's not gonna like completely ruin it. So I'd probably give it a B minus. The 2 things I wish is obviously, like you said, the Luka and Jokic thing. Like I wish those guys are playing. I wish there's people that weren't injured. I wish that the format of that third final game there wasn't like, how many do they have to win by? What's going to happen here? Who plays
Yeah,
who? What happens if the point differential is a tie exactly because it could have been? Like what's the tiebreaker? Who gets in if the world wins by exactly 2? And then, so I was like a little bit confused there. But if the final game was like the prior 3, that would have been an A minus for me.
Yeah, no, that's fair. The only reason I have it as an A minus, I think,